Good evening, everybody, and welcome to your Rangers Review press conference reaction video after Philippe Clement and Nico Raskin have been speaking ahead of tomorrow night's Europa League clash with Olympiacos. Apologies, folks, first of all. We were scheduled to go on at 7:30. The Rangers press conference, as expected, was delayed. Usually these things are when they head onto foreign lands. So we've just had a read of what the manager and Nico Raskin have had to say. You can watch both those press conferences over on the YouTube channel, folks. And Chris Jack joins me. We should be joined by Joshua, who has been in attendance at that as well. He should be joining us at some point shortly. But I think the big news to come out, Chris, is that Tom Lawrence is out for 4 to 6 weeks. What do you make of that?
Firstly, again, as you said, not a surprise that these things run late. As you say, they usually do when Rangers make these trips. There are a number of them over the years, and it's very rare that the manager is sitting down in front of you at the time that it's said. Also, there's lots of travel issues that can come into play. I'm sure Clement will be pleased just to get this part of the trip over and done with. It's also now full focus on the game tomorrow night, but as you touched on there, it's a game that he will have to play without Tom Lawrence. I think when he was forced off at the weekend, there was always the fear of a 4 to 6 week style or length of absence. That obviously has proven to be the case. I think as the manager touched on, it's clearly a negative, not just for Tom, but for the squad. He is someone who has had an impact, who has scored important goals for Rangers this season. I know he's not someone who's perhaps universally lauded amongst the Rangers support. I think we are both in agreement that we would like to see Nedim Barami played in that number 10 role. But while there are other issues within the squad, certainly in terms of Cortez and Matondo, obviously Barami being asked to play off that left-hand side, that means that the replacement for Lawrence will be Mohamed Diomande. A big chance for him now over these next few games, not just in this match tomorrow night, but also heading into Hearts, and then Rangers coming back after this final international break of the year, heading into a really, really significant run of games. So it's not ideal for Rangers. You never want to lose players at any stage. But I think the good thing, if you like, from a Clement perspective, he does have someone like Diomande who can come in and hopefully can negate the negative there.
Yeah, absolutely. Joshua now joins us. Fantastic setting behind him. We'll introduce him to the show. How's it going, Joshua?
Good, yeah. Nice little stadium here, isn't it? Which will be a lot noisier this time tomorrow than it is just now. Hope you can hear me okay.
Yeah, what is the ground like? I mean, it's a nice looking arena to play football, of course. What does it hold? Just over 30,000 there or thereabouts?
Yeah, just over 30,000. It's actually quite like, I think, the PSV stadium in size and stature and kind of what it looks like from the outside. It's one-tiered, apart from the main stand. We've got kind of the hospitality section and boxes, but very tight and compact. And obviously it's kind of known for its noise and known for its atmosphere. Philippe Clement was speaking about that a moment ago in the press conference and just reiterating what type of performance it will take from his side to quieten the crowd and get a result here tomorrow night.
Yep. Chris has been speaking about the big headline news, Joshua, is that Tom Lawrence is out for several weeks, 4 to 6 weeks, the manager said. It's been the story of his Rangers career, unfortunately.
It has, yeah, and he's obviously played more this season than he has in the 2 seasons previously. I think he'd managed something like 490 minutes in his first campaign and 14 last season. He's played a lot of football at the start of this season. He obviously pulled up just after the half-hour mark in that game at the weekend. And it leaves Rangers again, just as they start to look like they're going to get a little bit more depth in a certain area of the pitch. They start to lose bodies. The encouraging thing is that we've heard Radvan Yilmaz isn't far away for a while, but he was again name-checked by Philippe Clement today. Rabbi Matondo trained part of the session today with the Rangers as well. Yanis Hadji obviously isn't in the squad tomorrow, but he does come back into contention for the weekend's game against Hearts. You'd expect, I think, tomorrow night will be Mohamed Diomande in here, and I don't think this season Rangers have used a number 10 quite as much, Derek, as they did last season. Obviously, at points it will look like that, and at points Diomande, the highest midfielder, will need to get closer to the striker. In an ideal situation, you have a left winger, an out-and-out left winger there who can allow Barami to move into a more central position, but Rangers still don't have that cover while Oscar Cortez continues his rehab, and options on the left are somewhat short, so we'd fully expect that it's Mohamed Diomande who lines up here for Rangers tomorrow night.
Yeah, another big talking point was Dujon Sterling. You asked the manager if he's ready to play a full game. This is what he had to say.
Now for 90 minutes in games, so that he needs to prove the next weeks. But he's been struggling 2 months with not a big injury, but something that stopped him of really sprinting, really being his normal self like he was last season. Because of that, he didn't at really the level that he had before, and that's why he played less minutes. So finally, with the medical staff, we found a solution how to solve it. It's solved now. He feels better, and that's why he played better also. So it's normal that he will get more minutes if he plays better, and that's those are the rules in football, in the squad. It's about proving yourself in the trainings and in the games when you come in, that you're ready. So I hope we can get back the Dujon that we saw last season, because in the beginning of the season he almost didn't play, and I was surprised when I came in the first weeks that he didn't play, because what I saw, and after he played a lot of minutes. So we hope to see that Dujon again.
Just to clarify, he says he wasn't sure if he can play 90 minutes. I know that the opening of that clip shot sort of cut off there. So just if you're wondering about that. But Dujon Sterling tomorrow night. Joshua, do you expect him to start?
Not totally convinced after that answer. I mean, obviously, it was after Sterling signed that contract, and Clement effectively said that the challenge for him
and they've turned the lights out at Olympiacos, so he needs to stick some. They use euros, of course, over in Greece. Some euros in the meter, as they say. It's a bit gargled. There he is. He's back. He's back with us momentarily. We'll remove him just now, and we'll get him back in. I think his tripod or whatever may have fallen there. A Greek tragedy, Chris. But he was talking about Dujon Sterling. From Clement's answer there, it seems like he has to prove it in training that he's worthy of a starting slot. Just reading between the lines, I think James Tavernier starts tomorrow.
The perils of live broadcasting brought to people straight into our living rooms. The issues that we have to encounter to bring the show to you from all corners of the footballing world. I would like to see Sterling start tomorrow. Josh asked me for my predicted team earlier on. I put Dujon Sterling in there. Having heard what the manager said, I am now second guessing myself, as I do quite a lot with our Philippe Clement side. That's not an unusual situation to be in, given how difficult it can be to predict what he's going to do. Although I think it was the Aberdeen game, I'm sure he said that Lawrence and Suter, I think, were not ready for 90 minutes, and that put me off both of them starting. In the end, both of them did, so who knows? Balance of probabilities, I think James Tavernier probably starts. Whether that's the right call or not, I dare say Taz's performance will determine that. I think there's been a lot of comment about Tavernier over the course of the season that has ramped up again after the weekend. Obviously missed that chance in the second half. Was then unusually removed from the Rangers side when they needed a bit of inspiration, when they needed a goal. Those are the type of moments that he has so often produced. If he's going to try and get back to some kind of form, going to get back to producing those moments, it would be a great place to go and start. If he could bring one of those big European moments tomorrow night, it would put Rangers in a really encouraging position within this section, hopefully. But it feeds into the bigger James Tavernier, Dujon Sterling question. How much game time should James Tavernier get? How much game time does Dujon Sterling need? I think he does need a chance to show that he can be that successor at right back. Figures at the club have spoken about it. Figures at the club believe that he can be the next Rangers right back. At some stage, the fans have to see it. And I think at some stage, Dujon Sterling has to see it as well. Now, it's fine. He fulfilled that role a number of times last season, came in, and we saw him play wide right, wide left. He was accomplished in the middle of the pitch. He did a job for the team and did a job for the squad last season. But playing right back, he would be doing a job for himself, because I think he needs to know, can he go in there? And as the manager kind of touched on there, can he play the number of games that's required? That's not to say he has to go and do what Tav has done season after season after season and play 50, 55, 60 games. That shouldn't be the case for any member of this squad if the correct depth and the right options are there. But I think you need to know, can Dujon Sterling get through 40 games? Right now, we just don't know, because he's not had the opportunity to go and do it. So at some point, we need to see more of Sterling. Will that at some point come tomorrow night? Having seen the manager's presser, I would now doubt it.
Yeah, if he doesn't start tomorrow, I'd really want him to start on Sunday. Just play him there, please, Phil. I know that you're a big fan of the show. The fans have spoken. We want to see Dujon, more of him at right back as well. Tam gets in touch. Even Tam says he won't drop Tav tomorrow. You can't do that. Gets in touch as well. I just wish you could play 90 consistent minutes. Tired of scrabbling to fix a game in the second half. That has been an issue for Rangers, of course. How many times have we looked at Rangers in the first half and just made the assessment that the manager needs to make sweeping changes at the break? Certainly domestically, that has been the case. So we hope that will not be the issue tomorrow. Rangers come up against a decent side. It's fair to say the Conference League champions of last season. The manager was quizzed on the type of reception his players will encounter tomorrow and how confident he is that the players can stand up to that. He says, I'm confident about it. Okay, we have a few guys who are less experienced, but we also have enough experienced players in the squad. They're used to playing at Ibrox. That helps. Also, if you have a team who plays in a similar stadium, then come here. It's different. And Malmo was also a really good atmosphere. That's what you want. European nights, there's always some magic. There's always something special. Different playing styles, different players that you don't know really well. And in that way, for a player, it's always nice to play in stadiums like this, big stadiums with a lot of crowd. So I think everybody will embrace that and be happy with that. Just on Olympiacos, it was asked what do you make of them. He said, we know what they did last season, of course, winning that trophy. It's a big club. They won 2 times really deservedly against Malmo and Braga. So we know it's a really big test tomorrow. It's a big game, but we're looking forward to that and to impose ourselves and to go for a good result. In other games also, there's not one game that we're going to throw away. We want to play against every opponent to get points. Otherwise, it's of no use to play this Europa League. That is the mentality we want to see in the squad. Whatever the opponent is, and they can have a lot of stars, we're going to go to get the points. We have a lot of respect for Olympiacos, so for us, it's a really good test for our team. So that's what you had to say about that. In terms of confidence levels and how do you think that Rangers can achieve a result over in Greece, Chris? Do you believe they can go out there? I don't have too many concerns about tomorrow night, I've got to say. I've tipped a draw. I think Rangers are capable of going and getting a positive result tomorrow. What say you?
They're a very hard team to judge and a very hard team to assess right now, because you just don't know what Rangers side, one, that Clement is going to pick, but two, you don't know what level of performance you're going to get, not just game to game, but almost half to half. Now you look at the first half at Pittodrie was terrible. Second half, slightly better, but ultimately not good enough. First half against Motherwell was terrible. Second half, better and ultimately good enough. So it's really hard to judge what you're actually going to get from Rangers tomorrow. You look at European performances so far, 2 out of 3 have been very good. Also, Lyon at Ibrox, really difficult. A step up, a step just too far beyond this Rangers side at present. But against Bucharest, good, clinical, something that we've not seen often enough. The one in Malmo got this campaign off to a really encouraging start. I think they're probably going to have to better even that performance. Certainly, you look back at that one. I mentioned clinical there in terms of Bucharest. It could have been more clinical in that Malmo game. You would imagine they would have to not be as wasteful in front of goal in this one tomorrow night. you also spoke at the Olympiacos podcast yesterday, and he highlighted some of their weaknesses, some of the areas where Rangers could look to exploit. It could be a game that suits Rangers. They do have enough players there that I think can go and hurt Olympiacos. But it comes down to, can you take those big moments? Can you take those chances when they come along? I think if Rangers could get a point and come back to Glasgow with another one on the board, it would put them in a decent position in this section. That would, I think, if you went right back to the start of it, outside of Lyon, it would then have gone to plan. You would have mapped how this first tranche of games in this new competition. If you were to map that out, you would say you have to win in Malmo, you have to beat Bucharest, you take a point against Olympiacos. The Lyon one was the one you think, well, can Rangers battle their way to a point? Could they somehow sneak all three? That was never on the cards. So you almost have to write that one off. I think if they could get something on Thursday night, it would put them in a decent place, because we know there are difficult games to come. Nice obviously being the next away trip, going to be a tricky one for them, and then obviously Spurs and Man United still to come in this section as well. So it's not a case of if they don't win, they won't qualify. But if they could pick something up tomorrow, it would certainly be a boost, and perhaps an unexpected one at that.
Yeah, both teams have got pretty similar records. Both defeated Malmo, both have lost to Lyon. So, I think something's got to give tomorrow, or will it? Speaking to that podcaster, Ari, was very good. And they sound like they're having the same struggles that Rangers are having domestically. I did tell him about James Tavernier and the problem area of right back, and he got a tad excited when he invited me on his podcast last night because they have a pacey left winger. So I do worry that will be exploited in the game tomorrow, but you just hope that Philippe Clement has something up his sleeve and is aware of potential threats from Olympiacos, who are a decent outfit, but I don't think it's beyond the realms of capability that Rangers can go there and get a positive result or bite your hand off for a draw right now. The bigger game of the week, no doubt about it, is Sunday at Hearts. There is no wiggle room. Rangers cannot afford to drop any more points in the league. So it will be intriguing to see what his team selection will be tomorrow. I know what I just said there is response to saying not throwing games. I get that, but he may just look at minutes of certain players with one eye on Sunday. That would not surprise me one little bit. So, just ahead of tomorrow, folks, we'll have all the usual coverage as ever. Joshua will be at the stadium for us, so we will be linking up with him just before the teams drop. It's one of these early kickoffs, isn't it, Chris? 5:45, which I think is 7:45 over there. I think they're 2 hours ahead of us here back in Blighty. So I think it's at a 5:45. So just be wary of that, folks, if you were thinking it was an 8 p.m. kickoff. So we'll be live around 4:30 tomorrow with all the pre-match build-up, and then we'll have all the post-match content as we normally do. But we'll wrap up there for now. You can go and watch those press conferences, Nico Raskin as well, over on the YouTube channel. Just on Raskin before we go, Chris, been playing reasonably well, you've got to say, in recent weeks. Let's hope that I'm really liking that partnership with Connor Barron. Those two will be big for Rangers tomorrow.
I think Nico, in that interview, he touches on some of the injury issues that he has had, some of the frustrations that he's had, and I think frustration is probably one of the key words of his, not just of his season, but almost of his Rangers career. Now, there's been moments where you think there's definitely a player in there. There's definitely something that Rangers can build a side around, potentially make a bit of profit out of. Other times you think he's fallen way down the pecking order, and it's not going to work out for him. Fair play to him for working himself back into this position. He is a player that I like. I think there is still improvement in him. I think he can become a key player for this Rangers side. And as you touched on there, that relationship with Connor Barron, it has been really encouraging the last couple of weeks. There's perhaps not been many signs of huge encouragement for Rangers over the course of the campaign, but that partnership definitely looks like there could be something there. As we touched on earlier on, Diomande will play ahead of them. There's still issues in terms of the squad depth. Obviously, you take Lawrence out of it. I saw someone earlier on mention Kieran Dowles. I think that's a name that not a lot of people will want to see on a team line tomorrow. So it is going to be Raskin and Barron. That's your two Diomande ahead of them. They will have to play quite a lot of football in the next few weeks, but on paper and on the pitch, I do like the look of that as a midfield trio. So hopefully they can go and put in another encouraging performance tomorrow. But as you say, it's all on Sunday this week. That's the one. If you're to offer Clement one win out of these two games, it's 3 points against Hearts all day long.
Yep, I had a quick scroll of social media prior to coming on here, and the prospect of Kieran Dowles starting in the 10 has many fans slightly concerned about that. I'm sure he won't go down that route, but you never know with Philippe Clement's Rangers teams. There's often a surprise in the starting 11. Right, that'll do us there. We'll be back tomorrow morning as usual, folks. We hope you can join us for that at 9:30. Until then, enjoy the rest of your Wednesday. Bye for now.